Today is Saturday, October 19th, 2019. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for week 4 of Island of the Idols.
We do 2 shows a week. On Wednesday, after the episode airs, Joanne and I do a recap with some of our analysis. And then we turn it over to you, the super fans. And that's what we look forward to on Saturdays. It's our listener feedback show, where we give you the opportunity to write in or call in or record your own audio. And we had, how many folks take advantage of this? 25 super fans took time out of their super busy schedules to comment on their favorite show. And this I enjoy most of all.
Me too.
Yeah, good stuff. Anything we need to do? Any business we need to cover?
No business.
Let's get right to it. Our first call's from Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. Are you kidding me? I'm speechless, but I'm going to let out a great big woo! All right, I guess I'll sing it again, guys. Na 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 na. Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye. Oh my goodness, Chelsea. You saw what happened to Vince, and now you get burned by the same exact thing 2 weeks in a row. You go home with the idol in your pocket. Man, clearly she had no idea it was going to happen. I like what Sandra said. She wanted a blind side, and she sure got it. It's sad, though. I expected a lot for Chelsea, like I did Vince and Molly. It's kind of sad, but see, what hurt her is she never should have paired up with Dean. She could have had a great alliance with some of those women, with Elizabeth and Missy, and probably Aaron, as it looks like, and maybe Tom would have helped her. But no, she was with Dean, and couples never make it far on Survivor, unless you're Boston Rob and Amber. That being said, I feel for Chelsea, and great move by Missy, I thought. First, I really was hoping it was Karishma. I'm dying for her to get out of there. Then I'm thinking it might be Dean, which wouldn't have been a bad choice, because Dean offers nothing either. He had a big setback in the challenge, and then you see Missy flipping it with Elizabeth and Aaron and everyone else to get rid of Chelsea. Wow, Missy is really and truly a gamer. I would love to see her win. I really do. Now, I gotta go into the other team real quick. Kudos to Jamal for finding the idol at the right time. That's an awesome, opportune time while everyone else was lounging in the water on the boat. And how about Nora? Nora makes me sick. Rob and Sandra must have been laughing so much when she left Island of Idols there. They knew that wasn't going to work for her, and I knew right away. I had a feeling they were going to have her sit out the challenge, and I love how Lauren stood up for that, and everyone else agreed. That was awesome, and Nora is the luckiest Survivor player right now. I know for sure she would have been voted out. I was hoping that purple team lost. But right now, guys, I'll say this to wrap it up. Nora and Karishma, if they're not voted out now, they're perfect goats to take to the end. I don't know if everyone else agrees, because there's no way either of them are winning. And by the way, Jason has a little redemption story, too. But a great episode, guys. Can't wait for the tribe swap. Take care. Woo!
All right, thanks, Pete. Yeah, this is a really tense moment for the goats. They could be super easy targets, and I'm going along with what Pete said with Nora and Karishma. Super easy targets to get rid of because they add no value. And when you're tight down to 5 people in a tribe, it's hard to hide a goat.
Well, again, it's the annoyance factor, too. Everyone seems to find both of the ladies annoying around camp. So, because we've heard them say that in the extra clips. So, they have that not going for them.
Yeah. Be interesting to see if Missy could survive Nora. She said she could survive Karishma. Maybe she'll get a chance. Yeah. But if they can pass this test with the smaller tribes, be it 3 or 2, then I agree with Pete for sure. They'll have a much easier time down the road at the merge.
Karishma's more pouty. Nora's just out there with it. You know, she's loud and says what she says. And so that would be different to deal with her versus somebody who just sulks more and holds it in or
doesn't contribute in any significant way.
Yeah. I mean, she lets them know about it, but in them, not directly and not loudly usually.
At least that's the sense we get.
From what we've shown, yeah.
Yep. All right, let's keep going with this. There's a lot of folks that want to talk about big move-itis and what all happened here in this week 4 episode. Next up, we got an email from Nathan in Portsmouth, Virginia. Hello, everyone. My JSFL pick had me on an emotional roller coaster this week. I picked Nora as my vote out for the week, and the episode made me think I was going to be right. First, she went to the Island of the Idols, and I thought, all right, she'll get voted out. Then I heard her hilarious and disastrous explanation about what happened on the Island of the Idols to her tribe, and I thought, she is getting voted out. I saw the tribe's reaction, and I thought, yep, she's gone. Then I watched her try to lead her blindfolded tribe mates, and I just knew I had that JSFL point. I was still pretty sure she was going to go home, even after the tribe vetoed her as the caller, because I thought they would still lose the challenge. Then, all my hopes and dreams came crashing down. Nora was the star of this episode, but I doubt it's the way she wanted to shine. Something tells me superfans will be laughing at poor Nora for a while. But seriously, was Nora really that blind on how to do a blindfold challenge? She was a fan of the show, correct? So shouldn't she have seen this challenge numerous times on TV? I don't think she's a fan at all. No. I know it's different in person, but seriously, and why would she jump on Sandra and Boston Rob's offer so quickly? Poor impulse control. Rob and Sandra tried to convince her to think about it for more than half a second, but she didn't hesitate to think about the possible consequences of her decision or to weigh the odds on her ability to convince her tribe to allow her to be the caller. Again, as a fan, shouldn't she have been considering strategy and weighing her odds? And that lie she told to the tribe, wow, I know it's easy for me to criticize at home, but that was just bad. I wonder how much time she had to decide what she was going to say. It had to be at least the time of the boat ride back to her camp. It was an entertaining episode. There were several humorous elements to the show at times, but I don't think I've laughed out loud too much while watching Survivor. However, Boston Rob's comment about Nora being the last person he'd want calling the challenge and how she lives in Nora's world had me laughing out loud. A few last things. Kudos to Jamal for figuring out a great time to go idol hunting without bringing up any suspicion. Missy seems to be coming on strong, but I think she might be playing too hard. I forgot that Chelsea had an idol, but it's still interesting that we've had people with idols voted out back to back. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy, for the show. I look forward to hearing what everyone else has to say. Have a great week, everyone. Thank you, Nathan. Yeah, it does seem like that Probst, he gives this speech about big moves before every season now, and Missy certainly took that to heart. Next up, we've got a call from LeAnn.
Hi guys, it's LeAnn from California. Well, another blindside, including me. I had Chelsea safe, of course. But it was good to see Missy, my USB, finally getting some airtime, but I'm afraid it wasn't in a particularly good way. She's obviously a mastermind in orchestrating blindsides, and that puts a target on her back. But I'm hoping people still like her enough not to actually consider her for a vote off. And then there was the train wreck, that is Nora. It was painful to watch, but the payoff of having her sit out the challenge made it all worthwhile. It was obviously a storyline too perfect to pass up by the editors. As for next week's tribe mix-up, I agree that there will probably be 3 teams of 5, with the odd man out going to see Rob and Sandra. God knows Karishma needs some counseling, but I have a feeling it's going to be Elaine. There was kind of a weird edit choice at Tribal Council last week, with Sandra commenting in the hidey hole that Elaine doesn't seem to know what's going on because Elaine was flustered by all the plotting going on back and forth. So I think that was a clue that Elaine will go to the Island of the Idols, where she'll get to reveal that she's actually playing dumb, and that will segue into Rob and Sandra having a lesson on playing under the radar. Do I get a brownie point if I'm right? I need one to make up for losing a safe point on Chelsea. So that's it for me for now. Until next time, happy Survivor watching, everyone.
All right. I like your theory, Leanne. That's interesting. Be fun to see if that comes to be.
Well, you said that the article, Chelsea had said, I think it was Dalton Ross, Chelsea had said in that interview that there was a 5-person alliance that we weren't shown between her and Dean, Aaron, Missy, and Elizabeth. Mm-hmm. So that would mean that maybe Elaine wasn't being fed all the information, her and Tom and Karishma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can tell that there's, I guess you can infer from the way the communication flowed, where everything seemed to be going through Elizabeth as the hub, that there's some separation there. I agree with Leanne. I think part of what Elaine's doing is an act. It's a classic country act. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. And she knew she needed to be under the radar after what happened in the first few days.
Yeah, and obviously that 5-person alliance, if it did really exist, hasn't lasted.
Right, like any alliance.
Has lasted.
In Lyro, yeah.
Yeah.
If there's one thing you've learned about Lyro is that you can't trust anyone in the tribe.
Though Missy commented about they could still have the women's alliance, because they, even getting rid of Chelsea, they would still have the numbers over the men. That's what she was saying.
Yeah, she can say that, but she doesn't. If that were the case, she's not really understanding the ramifications of how much she's eroded the trust.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust her at all.
Right, and that seemed to be coming through pretty clear in what Elaine and Elizabeth were saying. Mm-hmm. Next up, we got a call from Shea.
Hey guys, this is Shea. Sorry I missed last week. I was out of town. I know that's no excuse. Tonight's episode, for me, best episode so far. I have people standing out to me now, and it was just a good episode, a good blindside. I think that Rob and Sandra had Nora pegged pretty quick, and I can't imagine if they had actually let her call. Jason was just so calm. He did such a great job. That was just so amazing to watch. And then to watch Missy work in camp to get out, to save Karishma for her own pocket vote and get Chelsea out, that was just masterful. I mean, she is really playing this game. The way she took 2 fingers on Elaine and it reminded her that they're one person, Dean and Chelsea, but we could get rid of Chelsea and still have the majority vote of women and 3 meat shields. I mean, she really laid it out there, and it just showed how much she's thinking and how smart she is and how she's willing to make giant moves. That is exactly why she probably will not win, because if I see it, everybody sees it, including her tribe mates. But it was magical to watch. I absolutely loved it. And I am really digging watching Rob and Sandra watch Tribal Council. That is some funny stuff right there. Great episode. I just don't know who I'm rooting for. I mean, I like a lot of people, but right now I think it's Missy. I really like her. Elaine, I really loved Elaine, but she seems kind of just spinning in circles saying, what? She's kind of like a happy, bouncy dog, and that's great, but that doesn't win you Survivor. I don't know, maybe there's more layers to her I don't know about yet. But anyway, I can't wait to see and can't wait to hear what everybody else thinks. All right, happy day.
Excellent. Thanks, Shay. Glad to hear you enjoyed it so much. Next up, we got an email from Krystle in Pasadena, California.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. I thought I'd email instead of leaving a voicemail since I have less time to call in this week. But I definitely didn't want to miss out on contributing my feedback for this latest episode of Survivor. First off, Stacy, I think you're right in pointing out that having Nora this season is much better than having Reem. After all, if we didn't have Nora, we would have missed the very entertaining show she put on during and after visiting the Island of the Idols.
Yeah, there you go.
I couldn't help but laugh when Boston Rob told her to be quiet. Then to watch her create this elaborate lie that made absolutely no sense was equally hilarious. I actually think she became confused by her own lie as she was telling it.
Yep.
Then the cherry on the top was having her tribe tell her to sit out of the challenge. Man, what great TV that was. So, I definitely take back my initial Reem is greater than Nora comment.
Yeah, you're granted. Yep.
Seeing Jamal's moment of finding the idol actually gave me a more positive perspective on him, as I liked seeing him in a more reflective moment, rather than his previous moments of arrogance. I'm hoping that we get to see more of this low-key, calm, reflective Jamal, and that this idol helps him move further in the game. After all, I chose him as my USB, and I'd hate to lose my USB in my first season of joining JSFL.
Well, odds are it'll happen.
Also, I agree with you that it looks like the producers may be encouraging Sandra to make more and more comments during Tribal Council, but I have to admit, I still find Sandra's comments funny, even if untrue. I agree that Elaine knows a lot more about what's going on than she's showing, and I think that strategy is great for her since she was on the chopping block week 1.
Yep.
She's one of several people I'm cheering for to move forward. Finally, I have a question about the overall future of this season's twist. Do we know if or when all of the players will learn about Sandra and Boston Rob? I'm wondering if we're just waiting for all of the remaining players to visit the Island of the Idols, or if it's something that they will reveal in a later episode. Any insight on that? If so, I can't wait for that to happen and to see how it will impact the game. That's all for now. I absolutely love hearing your recaps and feedback each week, along with the comments of the other Survivor fans. Until next time, thanks for all you do. All right. Thanks, Krystle. Great feedback. I haven't heard anything. Have you?
In terms of how they're going to...
Rob and Sandra.
How or when they'll wrap that up? No,
yeah,
they're going to want to keep that going. They paid to have them out there. They're going to stretch that till the very end, as far as I know. So there was nothing specific in the preseason that I recall seeing about, how they might wind that up.
I think they should reveal it at the very final Tribal Council.
You do?
Yeah, let them come out and sit in and, see them. Let people kind of know what's been happening.
Sort of open up the spy shack up there.
Maybe.
Interesting. Have them answer questions from them, too?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's too much.
No, not answer.
All right, thanks again, Krystle. Next up, we got a call from Kyle.
Hello, Joanne and Stacey and all the Survivor fans at home. This is Kyle from Calgary, Canada, calling with some Week 4 feedback, and I'm on my way to the airport right now. We're heading down to Costa Rica to support my daughter at the Pan American Cheerleading Championship. She's representing Team Canada, or Junior Team Canada, so we're pretty excited about that, but I wanted to get some quick feedback in before we head out. So this week was a little bit of a mixed bag for me. I liked seeing Jason step up a little bit. He kind of reminds me of Nick a little bit from David versus Goliath. I mean, he had a rocky start. He was supposed to be first boot on his tribe, and he actually ended up sticking it out and winning the whole thing. So I don't know if that's going to happen with Jason, but hard to say at this point. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was the Island of the Idols gimmick, and I am starting to not be a fan. The reason being is I think the opportunity to go to Island of the Idols becomes less of a blessing and more of a curse, because it seems that every time that a castaway gets picked, they have now a giant target on their back, as well as the added wrinkle that the individual who went prior to them, so Kelly and Elizabeth, they also know what was at stake. So if you're not on the ins with with your tribe, like Nora or Vince, then there's a very good chance that Elizabeth and Kelly will be telling the other team, you know what, don't listen to her. I know what I know. Let's sort of gang up on her and or gang up on them and really not choose to believe them. The other reason why this doesn't work out is because by virtue of them going to the island, it actually affects the outcome of the game, and we don't actually get to see that side play out because they're choosing in the edit not to show any conversations or interactions between the two of them. So I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of it. I think that it overshadows the gameplay a little bit and actually ends up being more of a distraction than it should be. This is Survivor. We should be able to see the social experiment play out without having any interference outside of that. And that's what's made this show really enjoyable to watch for all these years without needing to affect the outcome. So that's my piece. And I want to again thank everyone for all their feedback and for the recap shows and everything. Until next time, I want to have a great week. No feedback from me next week because I'll be in sunny/rainy Costa Rica. I want to wish everyone a great week. All right. Thanks. Bye.
All right.
Have a good trip, Kyle.
Yeah. Good luck. Hope they win.
I also am a little bit not happy with the way Nora's trip to the island actually affected the challenge in that the Purple Tribe got such a huge advantage. I truly believe they would have completely lost had they not been able to have the information and practice and get everything ironed out ahead of time.
Yeah, and they had that on day 9, so they had day 10 to prep for the challenge that happened on 11. It seemed like they had a huge head start.
Huge advantage.
Maybe Tree Mail for Lyro kind of clued them in too, and that could have helped even it out. We don't know. We didn't get to see that, and that wasn't in any of the extra videos. They showed a Tree Mail video for, I think it was week 2, but there was nothing in the handful of extra videos that they offered up this week to give us insight in that regard.
Well, and the other thing was not getting to see the interaction, if there was any, between Nora and Kelly.
Yeah. And this,
Again.
it seems to continue to support the theory that's, unvalidated, that they're forcing this to be a mystery. They're having them specifically not talk about it. Yeah. And then the edit is working in support of the, air quotes, mystery of Island of the Idols. Now, this could potentially be, with the shuffle, a week where you had opportunities for that to get turned upside down. Maybe Kelly or Elizabeth ends up in a situation where they feel like that's their only card to play, is to share that detail and to help out, to try to sort of win their way into an alliance or something along that regard. It'll be interesting to see if any of that plays out. I suspect, again, if there's this sort of enforcement of maintaining the mystery, that we won't get anything else. And we've continued to see nothing in the episodes or the extras in regard to what those exchanges are like. You could make an argument that that's because, well, it didn't have any significant role to play in the outcome. So, or it wasn't there specifically in support of the story, but there's this big question mark hanging over the whole premise of the twist now because of that. I certainly agree with Kyle in that regard. Thanks, Kyle. Next up, we got a call from Kim in North Carolina.
Hey, this is Kim from North Carolina calling in with feedback finally this week. I've really appreciated hearing what everybody else has to say about what's going on. I continue to not really love the Island of the Idols scenario, but I do enjoy Sandra's comments during the tribal council, and she really cracks me up. I think Missy has looked really strong, but I am not going to be surprised if the people in her current tribe figure out a way to get rid of her when the tribe shuffle occurs. I have enjoyed that several people in the game are definitely there to play, and they've been able to pull up these blindsides. I was surprised that nobody leaked word to Chelsea that she was going and therefore kept her from playing her idol. But I'm being rushed out the door to go to Oktoberfest, so I must run. I'm really enjoying it. I really enjoy the feedback and the podcast and everything. Take care, everybody.
All right. We're glad you were able to make some time to send that in and share your thoughts this week. Thanks, Kim. Much like you being rushed out, it sounded like their ability to make that decision and keep it a secret was along the same lines of being rushed out. So they were basically called that play right before they went to tribal council. All right, next up, we've got an email from KimJ in Nashville. Hey, Joanne and Stacy, having sent email feedback this week. I'm in Jamaica. I was so excited. Yeah, I was so excited to see Survivor previews on the TV here, and we planned our Wednesday evening around watching Survivor, only to tune in and no Survivor. It was on the TV Guide and everything. We were so disappointed. Tried CBS All Access, and it wouldn't work outside of the country, and I was so bummed. A little bit of Google research the next day, and I downloaded a VPN app, and poof, CBS All Access worked like a charm, all before I could get spoiled on the episode.
All right.
Yeah. There's also, I'll mention this, there's also a handy plug-in for Chrome. I think it's mainly Chrome. I don't know if it's available for the other browsers, but you can have Chrome say, hey, this is where I am in latitude and longitude, without having to even go to the VPN app. And sometimes being able to use that in the browser is handy. But VPNs will work too. Sounds like you got it all figured out. As for the actual episode, I had Nora going home. So the first half of the... it's another one of these, huh? The first half of the episode looked like I made a good pick. Smart of the Vokai tribe to sit her out, but we were all deprived of a for sure slapstick comedy of Nora being the caller. I did like that the test and reward were different this week, but Vokai had a huge advantage in knowing what the challenge was ahead of time. Seems kind of unfair, actually.
Yep.
As for Lyro, I didn't understand the Vince vote last week, but it made more sense this week, so maybe the Chelsea vote will make sense next week, because it makes 0 sense right now. Yet another potential women's alliance down the toilet. Missy has a lot of capital on her tribe, but she's doomed to fail. Just playing too hard, too fast. But that's kind of what I expected of her in pregame. I hope this season isn't turning into Ghost Island with a lot of gamers going home pre-merge, and we're left with people like Nora and Karishma going deep into the game with no real strategy. I've enjoyed the unpredictable tribals. Have you noticed this season each episode has had 3 potential targets instead of the usual 2? Week 1 we had Vince, Elaine, and Ronnie. Week 2 we got Jason, Nora, and Molly. Week 3 we got Vince, Tom, and Karishma. Week 4 we got Karishma, Dean, and Chelsea. That's made it much more exciting than normal. It does seem to amp it up, doesn't it? I felt really bad for Chelsea in her exit interview. She was having a really hard time, almost like a girl after a breakup. They just want to know why. Please someone tell her why so she can have closure and move on. Anyway, I never know what to think with swap weeks. Right now, I've got Karishma going. I'm thinking maybe the editors are trying to trick us, but who knows? From sunny Jamaica, KimJ, over and out. Thanks, KimJ. We appreciate you sending that in while you're away on vacation. Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed about the day after video with Chelsea was you could tell right I thought, oh, she's been crying. And then you could tell that it's edited. They were stopping and restarting and things like that, and she was wiping her eyes and then exit interviews. So she's just basically reopened the wound this week and having to go through that pain again.
You have to relive it again.
Yeah, and it's still really rough for her. Next up, we got a call from Cameron.
Hey Joanne and Stacy, hey Survivor fans, this is Cameron from North Carolina. Once again doing this outside at night, but guys, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to do this. I swear it's 40 degrees colder than the first time I did it, but that's the fall season for you. To the episode. I hate to be a pessimist, but man, something about Survivor showmances just never does it for me. Keep that mess over on Big Brother where it belongs, guys. Every time they show Tommy in a confessional, it leads me further to believe he's a potential winner. He just really seems to know what he's doing. Say what you will about Island of the Idols, but I really happen to like it this week. But then again, of course, I'm a sucker for flashbacks. Man, they will never let Eric Reichenbach live down that move from Micronesia. I like that they even nodded all the way back to All-Stars when Boston Rob himself infamously screwed Lex over. You can try and justify it as masterful persuasion, But that moment right there is the sole reason why I have never been a fan of you since, Boston Rob. Nora is such a bad liar that it was crazy. Boston Rob saying nothing she says is remotely coherent might be the most astute thing he's ever said. The way she went about her challenge wasn't even right. She was supposed to persuade her tribe, not flat out lie her way into being the caller. All it takes is a simple, "Can I please be the caller?" when you get to the challenge itself. What she did completely led her tribe to realize in any role she'd lose the challenge for the tribe. Tommy had an interesting new move in this classic challenge, which was to purposefully make noise to distract the other team. I really liked this, good example of how he knows to play to his advantage. Massive props to not Vokai as a whole, but to Jason in that challenge. He looked insanely good at his role, and choosing him over Nora to call might have been the best decision they have made thus far. I find it hard to have sympathy for Karishma. She really doesn't do much at all to keep herself away from the bottom. Lyra's strategy from now on ought to just be to not tell Elaine who you're targeting, otherwise she'll just turn around and say you're the biggest threat. The only surprise I had following Tribal was just that it was Chelsea and not Dean. Pretty solid vote out, and unbeknownst to them, they all just fleshed out an idol, so good for them. I almost thought earlier, and I erased it from my notes, but I wonder if they would have even given Nora the reward had she won, because it seems to me she didn't really persuade. She just straight up lied to them, and while she may have been the caller, or if they'd let her been the caller, she wouldn't have done what Boston Rob and Sandra asked, so I kind of wonder if she'd win or not. I wouldn't give it to her, that's for sure. Next time on Survivor, we got a swap. Should be fun. And that's all I got for this week, guys. Hope to hear some great feedback. Thanks a lot, Joanne and Stacy.
Thanks, Cameron. Good job. Yeah, I hadn't given that much thought, but I think Cameron's right. I don't think they would have. And she did an awful job of impressing Boston Rob and Sandra, so they wouldn't have been even prone to give it to her. They didn't much seem to be on her side when she left.
Cameron, honey, stay inside and stay warm.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, I haven't heard the great outdoor noise. There's just a hum in the background like you're sitting near the central air or something. So we lost the outdoor sound, so definitely move inside and stay comfortable. I meant to say that a couple of weeks ago. Now he's out there 40 degrees colder. Oh, good job. Next up, we got a call from Justin.
Hello, everyone. It's Justin from Michigan. I'm going to give a few players that are, in my opinion, trending up. I'm going to go with Jason, Missy, and Jamal. So Jason, he really did well in that challenge. He was able to get everyone through that first part of the obstacle. I don't know if it was a team decision or his decision to keep everyone together through that first part, but that was really smart. He only had to talk to the leader, and they could all just follow each other through. So that was really smart, and then he was able to articulate the puzzle correctly. Didn't get it right the first time, but he kept his cool, even with Elizabeth gaining on him, and was able to get that corrected relatively quickly. Jason, surprising me, they painted him as kind of a easy vote off right off the bat in the first episode, but he's really kind of climbing his way back into contention here. Missy, I think she's just in a really good strategic position right now. And until they realize that she is a pretty big threat, I think she is going to continue to get the opportunity to call the shots. She's pretty convincing when she talks to people, but she's not, I don't see her as like condescending or anything. So that'll be good for her game going forward. And then Jamal, of course, he found the idol. He potentially is another one that might go home with it in his pocket, though. We've seen early on already this season that he can be overconfident. He wants the power. He wants to be in control. So as long as he has that mindset with the idol that he wants to use it sooner rather than later, I think he'll be okay. If he's one of those that just wants to hang on to it until final six or final five, yeah, that's not going to work out for him because he's either a pre-merge target or right away first or second vote of the merge. He's going to be a target just because of his physical stature. Those three, as long as they play their cards right, they're going to keep doing well in the game. I want Nora or Karishma gone. Karishma is in a decent position if she would get out of her own pity party. She can be the swing vote going forward. There's been people trying to get her back into their alliance, and she doesn't seem willing. She just wants to play the victim. And Nora, she's just annoying. Plenty of people that are going to talk about her, so I'll just skip over her. And then I do think they were smart to get rid of Chelsea over Dean because Chelsea is more of a threat to actually come back and bite them for a move like that. So, like, if they would have got rid of Dean, Chelsea's more willing to flip on the rest of the girls and go after them, whereas Dean, he just seems like a happy-go-lucky guy who's just willing to do whatever everybody else wants. So I do think they were smart from that perspective. I don't really think they wanted to keep him around for challenges. He hasn't shown that he's much of an asset there. He just has that attractive body type, I guess, where people perceive him as a physical threat, but he hasn't seemed overly strong or athletic. That's all I have to say. Like I said, I think I'm just going to keep going with Nora or Karishma. Might not be strategic for vote outs, but that's just who I want gone, so it gives me something extra to root for. All right, have a good week.
Yeah, I think that totally works. Thanks, Justin. I don't know if Chelsea would have been so busted up. You hear her in the exit interviews, and she's trying to be really clear that she didn't have anything special going on with Dean. So to lose Dean, I think she would have been fine, and she would have had the whole girl power thing that seemed to appeal to her before. So they misread her, it seems like, for the most part. In any case, they got rid of an idol, so that part was really good. They were all going, yeah, that worked out really well. Next up, we got an email from Elizabeth in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. I'm so ready for Nora to go home. I couldn't stand the way she handled the island of the idols. Boston Rob would say something, and then she would either scream, make a brief comment, or just take another bite of watermelon. It was almost like she wasn't paying attention to anything other than her watermelon. Then, without a single thought, she accepted the challenge to persuade her tribe members to make her the caller for the next challenge. Both Boston Rob and Sandra told her to think about it first, but did she? No. Her persuasion strategy was horrible. I don't think she had a clear idea of what was coming out of her mouth, and I think her tribe mates were just as confused as she was. I was so pleased when her tribe made her sit out of the challenge. Speaking of the challenge, I thought Jason did such a good job of staying calm, even when he had to tell Kelly how to redo the puzzle. I was happy for Vokai when they won, but I still want Nora out. I really like how Elizabeth handled Erin and Missy, pressuring her to vote for Dean. She strategically told them that Elaine wasn't on board, which created a fracture in the plan to vote off Dean. She didn't have to paint a target on her back, but her options open. I know you guys talked about her being a tattletale on Elaine, Stacy did, but I thought it was a really good move. One more thing is why is Karishma still here? She makes absolutely no effort to show that she is a valuable asset. She doesn't perform in challenges. She doesn't do anything at camp, save isolating herself and moping about being on the bottom of her tribe. Maybe she's going to start trying a little bit at this upcoming tribe swap. We can only hope. Thanks so much for such a great podcast. Can't wait to hear from the other fans. Bye. All right. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Yeah, this is a potentially a great opportunity. You could, if she takes advantage of it, Karishma could completely turn her game around. It could give a new life to her game. We've seen no indication that that's within her capacity, but the potential exists.
She would have to alter the personality she's using out there.
Yeah, but this is a big reset button.
Exactly.
So
she can do it.
It's all there.
But she would have to do it.
So we're going to definitely be excited to see how that plays out. Next up, we got a call from Sophie-n-Leyla.
Hi Survivor fans, hi Joanne and Stacey. Sophie here in Texas with my daughter Layla again. Caleb is not around, unfortunately, and we both forgot to put in our picks this week. We were just rushing around, and this week's been crazy. The kids had 5 teeth pulled out and loads of fillings and trips to the dentist and doctor, and it was just crazy. So we did enjoy Survivor, but we forgot to change. However, it wasn't too bad. I got 4 points from, I guess it follows over from the week before, right? But Caleb, he had Chelsea going home last week. No, he had Chelsea safe and Dean going home. So, yeah, it wasn't too good for him. I think he only got 3 points. But we'll try to be better. We have to do it this week or we'll be out, right? Okay, what did you think, Layla, of the challenge, the blindfold one and getting wet and the puzzle?
I thought it was really cool, and it was funny how...
Oh, Rob and Sandra.
Yeah, I liked how you guys said that she had to be the caller, and it was a hard job because she's very loud and everyone thinks she's very annoying, but she thought she could do it, which was good, but It was funny how they put her to sit out.
That was hilarious. I think I actually screamed. But Jason, I was impressed. He really was calm under pressure, and that was fun to see. Okay, now what about the voting out and Missy changing everything? I thought they might backfire and just vote out Missy because she seemed a bit scattered everywhere, and Erin. But they ended up getting out the showmance. Poor Chelsea. I heard her interview and she was crying and she was just emotional, and she didn't want to be remembered as a showmance because she said it wasn't. Did you feel anything for Chelsea being blindsided, or you didn't mind?
I didn't mind her being blindsided just because, well, everyone thought it could be something in the game, like if they had a showmance, then later in the game they could be together. And the girls probably just wanted it to be just the girls, not the and just like 2-3 of the boys, and that's it.
Yeah, they should have targeted someone else, I think. But oh well. It was a great show. We enjoyed what you had to say, and I'm actually looking forward to the swap. I hope it goes into 3. Looking forward to it being like a reward. So the team who wins, they win like tons of food, and I want to see them scuff their faces. And then the second one who comes in hopefully just gets like little sandwiches, and then the losing tribe gets nothing. I think that's always hard. What about you?
I'm excited when they get those big feasts, and then they're all trying to find the awards or the idols under the bowls or the plates and in the cutlery.
That happens at the merge, so that's probably going to be in a few weeks. So thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, Sophie. Thanks, Layla.
I'll take this opportunity to, yes, Sophie, your picks do roll forward.
We try
But
to give you a buffer. Yeah.
it can give you a little buffer unless you lost points the week before for your save points. And then you automatically lose one because that rolls forward. And we know they're already gone at that point. But the thing is, for everyone to stay focused on is you can do that. And that works great for a couple of weeks. But if you do not select picks 3 consecutive weeks, the
We assume
program
that you quit playing.
eliminates you automatically and you're out for the season.
Yeah.
So don't do that.
All right. Thanks again. Yeah, and I think that'll be good to remember to watch for in this coming episode with the swap happening, like Leia was talking about. There may be some hidden advantages in the shuffles that come out. So something else to watch for. Good deal. Thanks, Sophie. Thanks, Layla. Next up, we got a call from Drew.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. Hey, everyone. This is Drew. I remembered of my own accord today, so not in time to, actually do my own recording. So I'm just calling in, as has been usual lately, and that's just fine. So, yeah, great episode. I think there were a lot of really, really nicely awkward moments, if you know what I mean. The Nora business was hilarious, and the blindside was just great. I mean, haven't people learned by now never to talk about how much they love blindsides in a tribal council? Haven't people learned that by now? It's a cardinal rule of Survivor. There's that, and there's don't go looking for the idol on the first day. At least not too obviously. And yet, people continue to do these things, and that's why we love it so much. Yeah, really just looking forward to the merge. I think the winner of the week is everyone on Nora's tribe except for Nora for just completely shutting her out of the challenge after agreeing to let her be the caller. The whole thing was just, so like proxy embarrassment, but hilarious. It was great. So everyone but her, that's the winner of the week. And the loser of the week, I guess, by default is her, just because she got shut out and didn't even expect that, see that coming. But, we can give it to Chelsea, too, because it's also a classic move to praise the blindside right before you suffer from one, and also to leave with an idol in your pocket. But looking forward a lot to next week, and I'm sitting at the bottom of the side challenge, and that's fine, because it's just been a lot of fun so far. And, yeah, can't wait to see what happens next and to hear what you guys think, and talk to you later. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks, Drew. Good job. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanna and Stacy, I'm going to skip my intro this week and go right to my observations. Aaron didn't like how close Chelsea was getting with Dean. He was jealous and wanted to spoon with Dean himself. Purple Dean turned crimson when teased about Chelsea. Jamal sacrificed his nap and found an idol. I guess he isn't Goliath material after all. Tommy took his tiny fish home and mounted it above his fireplace. If Nora's scream is as effective on geese as it is on shorebirds, she could make a fortune selling recordings of it to airports and golf courses. Survivor is educational. I never knew the watermelon farming was a big thing in Fiji. After watching Rob try to mentor Nora, I came up with a concept for a returnee season. Aces versus wild cards, or idols versus idiots. One tribe is all the strategists, Rob, Sandra, Cochran, David Wright. The other is all out there players like Nora, Debbie Warner, Abby Maria, the special agent. I don't know which tribe gets Tony Velachos. If Nora's tribes never go to tribal council, she'll have no vote at the merge. Not good. That's a good point. I don't think enough Dramamine exists for me to try any of the rides at Nora World. I facepalmed so hard during Nora's story that I almost gave myself a concussion. Handsy Dan gave Nora a hard time about calling from in front of him. She should have done it his way and called him on a one-way trip into a tree or the ocean. Nora successfully used her powers of persuasion to get her team to sit her out. In the challenge, Dean and Chelsea were literally joined at the hip. Missy experienced the dark side of Handsy Dan with that meaty face slap. Tommy's weird trilling sounded like a mockingbird trying to imitate a British ringtone. No, Dean, you're other right. That's perfect. Karishma says nobody likes her. I thought she'd start singing Guess I'll Go Eat Worms. It's called Plan Z because we have zero idea of who's actually going home. Sorry, thanks for playing. Do they get a copy of the home game and some rice-a-roni? Chelsea likes blindsides. The Survivor gods granted her wish. Hidden idols aren't SNH screen stamps. You can't trade them in for gifts after you leave. Yes, she said she was so bummed that they took it.
We actually know what SNH green stamps are.
Yeah, I collected those. Next time, drop your buffs and Karishma wants to flip. Who'll go to Ego Island? Will Handsy Dan's new tribe give him a helping hand to Ponderosa? Tune in Wednesday. Anyway, that's it from me for now. Thanks, Joanna and Stacy, for all you do. I can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Thank you, Josh. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana, and okay, so last week I forgot to get my feedback in, but I had it all recorded. I just had to edit it, and then I blinked, and it was Saturday, and I said, oops. So, yeah, it didn't happen. But I'm recording it this week. This episode probably had the most Nora in it, and I thought it was hilarious. Nora didn't annoy me as much this episode because everybody else was making fun of Nora. I felt as though everybody else shared my pain. Voz and Rob talking about Nora and stuff. That was amazing. And just Sandra and Rob's looks and her tribe. And then when they had her sit out, this is the best thing ever. Also, all those flashbacks. Look at all those winners making some pretty awesome moves. Wouldn't you like to see those guys back, huh? As Stacy would say, I was playing bold this week. I had Nora safe. I had Karishma safe. I had Aaron safe, and the person I was like, oh, well, this isn't bold. I had Chelsea safe. I was in the 3 bold picks, and then, one safe pick. Turns out the safe pick is the one who goes home. So, what the heck, man? This is why I don't play bold, Stacy. I had Jamal going again. I had Jamal going last week, and I was really hoping they'd lose the challenge, and it was so close, and yet so far away. I love how Chelsea's, oh no, I'm not here for a showmance, and then continues to hang out with Dean, even gets paired with Dean in the challenge, and just right beside Dean. Chelsea, if you're not here for the showmance, then don't be here for the showmance. It's not that hard. Next time on Survivor, a tribe swap. I like the tribe swap here. The tribe swap works here because it's not the 3rd episode and it's not so that it's appropriate time for a tribe swap. We've established some characters. We've established where people are, kind of, and alliances-ish. I mean, we thought there was a solid girls alliance. Then they vote out Chelsea. We thought Elaine would be a superstar this season, and we didn't see her again until this episode. 2 people going home with idols. Only the 3rd and 4th boots. That's insane. Insane. That's crazy. I love it. I freaking love it. I think that's all I got. I will see you guys next time.
All right. Good job, Parker. Glad to hear you enjoyed it so much. And yeah, you should probably stay away from the bold play. Next up, we got a call from Slappy McGee.
Hello, Joanna Stacy. This is Slappy McGee. Just calling you for some feedback. I was a little disappointed in the whole Nora thing. I don't know. I just can't get my head around this particular lady and her just craziness. It's I don't know. I think it was funny that Sandra and Rob both kind of spotted it right away. She was in her own little world, participating there. Now that they're going to merge, it seems like probably people will bring her along because you keep the crazy close, right? I don't know. I'm kind of halfway on this season so far. Some of it's enjoyable. The whole Rob and Sandra stuff seems extraneous, of course. Still haven't quite got fully on board with it. I'm trying to get there. Still haven't got fully on board with that. So I guess my picks rolled over. I forgot to get my picks in. So I guess the deal is they roll over, and then fortunately I picked Christiana to go again, I guess, because I picked him last week, so I picked her last week. But I was thinking Dean was going to go this week, so either way I wouldn't have got it right. So I did get my 4 safe points, so that's good. I guess even stupid stumbles into good sometimes, so there you go. Stumbled in a little good. Thanks for everything you guys do. I look forward to the feedback. This really helps with the digestion of this show. Your feedback, your analysis of the show, and then the listener feedback, and so it's really good. I think it's a really cool little community that you guys built, and I appreciate that. I appreciate being part of it. All right, that's enough. I gotta go. Got things to do. Miles to drive. See you down the road. Stacy, still coming for you. Gonna get you, son. Gonna get you. All right, Banjo boy. You take care of that lady of yours. Joanne, keep him in line. Keep him in line over there. All right.
Lord have mercy.
All right. Thanks, Slappy. Yep, we got a special thing here, and we're really glad you're a part of it.
Should I tell them what you did?
What did I do?
You bought 70 pounds of Halloween candy.
Oh, now you're being dramatic like someone else.
No, it is 70 pounds.
No, it's not.
Yes, it was. I added it up to what it said on all those stacks of bags that you bought at Costco. They had 150 pieces. And let's see, you had 8 of those. And you had 2 or 4 of the other bag that was even bigger. And then you came back with 5 bags of it from the big, what was it? Trunk and treat?
Yeah, trunk or treat, kind of. It was one of those kind of things, yeah. It's called Family Fright Night. And one of the ukulele groups I'm in, we played Halloween tunes, and we gave out candy and treats, and it was really cool. But I purchased, it wasn't 70 pounds, you're just so wrong.
No, yeah, I will show you, because I added it up just to see.
Okay.
How much you really had.
You know how many ounces are in a pound?
It was 70 pounds. It literally was 70 pounds.
No.
Actually, it was 69 point something, but close enough to 70 pounds. You're wrong. Absolutely wrong, and I'll prove it to you. Anyway, let's not.
No. You went down this trail. So
okay.
Here's what they said. They said we had 800 kids come through last time, and I thought, well, I want to be able to give out a couple pieces of candy to each kid.
You were only one of like the 12 or 13 people just in your group.
Again, your drama is amped up. There were 7 of us.
Well, I didn't know how many would show up.
And not everybody brought candy.
Okay.
So I wanted to make sure that we had. So I brought about 1,200 pieces, and then with the extra stuff that was, because I did it on pieces, and then with the extra that came in, we had enough to give out a couple pieces to everyone. But I really don't think, as best as I can tell, but because I was singing tunes the whole time. We're doing Monster Mash and Purple People Eater and Swamp Witch, and has anybody seen my ghoul? We were just having a good time playing Anne Boleyn. All these good Halloween songs I put together in our Halloween songbook. Anyway, not that many kids came through. For some reason, I think the count was off in some way.
It was all their fault.
No, well, there was the data, and I based it on the data, but that doesn't mean that's how many are going to show up.
Over 700 pieces of candy in there. It's like,
I wish I could give out some candy to every one of our
we wish we could toss it
listeners.
To you.
Yeah. So
anyway, I thought I'd tell on you.
Yeah. All right.
You're welcome.
Uh-huh. goober, 70 pounds. Your math is so wrong.
It is not.
All right. Thanks, Slappy. I don't know how you triggered that, but you did. There.
It's all your fault, Slappy.
Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Rebecca calling from Marin County, California. This episode was so great and had me on the edge of my seat the entire time, especially when Jamal, in the first 5 minutes of the show, finds an idol. I was sweating because I had him as my vote out, and then he goes and finds an idol. I was greatly cheered up right away by Nora on Island of the Idols because she's literally the best Survivor entertainment ever. Even Rob and Sandra are all, what the heck is up with this woman? I loved when she screamed and clapped and all the birds flew away, and when they gave her challenge and immediately she's like, I'm doing it. And they're like, are you sure you want to do it? And she's like, no, I'm doing it. They're like, maybe you shouldn't do it. And she's like, no, absolutely, I'm doing it. And Sandra's like, why don't you just take this watermelon and eat it slowly and think about not doing it? And then her tribe felt exactly the same. And they're like, yeah, you're sitting out. You're not playing. That was one of my favorite moments in this game ever. It was hilarious. Okay, Vokai wins immunity, and then I really began to sweat because I wanted to get some points because of JSFL. So first we've got Karishma, and she's all dramatic, and her sob story of, I don't want to go out like this. And I'm like what? Doing nothing and just being full of attitude? But Missy, who is my USB, is such a boss. She was calm, strategic, ruthless. I'm so glad I picked her. And she and Aaron were apparently the only ones playing and willing to take any risk. So they vote out Chelsea as in a blindside. And obviously everybody went for it. And they went for it over Dean and Karishma, which I don't completely understand, but okay. It was really exciting, and it was a nail-biter. Next week is the tribe swap, and I don't know who the heck I'm going to choose for points. I'm very confused. Who knows what will happen next? Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
All right. We enjoyed getting to hear how much you enjoyed that episode. Thanks, Rebecca. Next up, we got an email from Jack in California.
Another one bites the dust. Here are my quick observations from this recent episode. Nora was way too willing to go to Idol Island, and I'm not surprised that she jumped on the opportunity to test her persuasion. I liked what both Sandra and Rob had to say about her, and I wouldn't want her to be my caller in that challenge.
Definitely not.
Nobody would. The throwback clips from other seasons were a nice tribute to past persuasions that were shown. I wouldn't be so keen on my persuasion skills, so I probably wouldn't jump onto the test that quickly. Also, Elizabeth was quick at catching the puzzle mistake during the challenge. This vote-off wasn't really surprising to me, but I still didn't get it right. As if the vote-out wasn't hard enough for me, we have the switch this next episode. Jeez. I guess I might start to warm up my voice because I feel like I'm going downhill instead of up.
There's plenty of room at the bottom there, Jack.
At least I still have a USB currently, so that's my diamond in the rough, as it were.
All right.
I think that might have been a poke at you, baby.
Yeah, could be.
Stacy has no USB.
We make sure there's plenty of room in the basement, Jack. You'll be comfortable.
Yeah, and maybe along with Stacy's.
All right, good job. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. It's David in Pittsburgh, and wow, what a tense competition that was, and what a great tribal council. I have to hand it to Vokai. Jason and Kelly kept calm and focused even when it looked like they might end up losing. I thought that the team was correct in not going with Nora, so great job, guys. But the whiplash over Lyra, oh man. First Tom and Elaine decide Karishma's out. Then Elizabeth and Missy and Aaron decide, well, not Elizabeth, but Missy and Aaron decide the Dean's out. But Elizabeth says she's on board. She runs off to Elaine and throws Aaron and Missy under the bus, so it's not going to be Dean. And then she goes back to Aaron and throws throws Elaine under the bus. So I'm just wondering if Elizabeth's going to take any responsibility for any of these changes. And we'll see how it affects the game in the future. But anyway, so Missy needs a name that no one's attached to, and they come up with Chelsea. Now, I thought it was interesting that they picked Chelsea because in the beginning, it showed her starting fire, finding an idol, and she seemed like she was going to go far in this game, but then suddenly she kind of disappeared. And in a way, I'm seeing the same thing happening with Tom. He'll state who he wants out. He seems like he's not going to budge, and then ends up voting with the majority. And by the way, as for that women's alliance, we can see already how effective that is. Once they threw one of their own out, there's no loyalty on this team to anyone. I also find it amusing that Elaine's going around doing this. I don't know what's going on. I don't understand what's going on. As Sandra says, this one never knows anything. Well, she knows enough to play the confused follower when she's really willing to switch with anyone else that makes that decision. I thought it was interesting that Chelsea talked about how much fun a blindside is. And once again, as Sandra says, you got you one. So she's out. That was Plan Z. Last week I was wondering whether there'd be a surfeit of idols, but the way the eliminations are going, Vince with his idols out, Chelsea with an idol out, I don't think there's going to be a problem. So now Kelly and Jamal have idols, and we'll see how far they can go with that. I don't see any loyalty over in Lyra at all. I'll be interested in seeing what happens once everybody gets mixed into different teams. Really enjoying this season and can't wait to hear what others have to say. Bye.
All right. Thanks, David. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Christiana.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Christiana from Boston. This was such a good episode. This has been a really, really great season so far. So it's been really great to watch. I was laughing to myself with the whole Island of the Idols segment and Honora's story when she returned to Vokai. That was such a train wreck. I was almost wondering if they planted her as the volunteer to go to Island of the Idols so she could talk about how much she needed Rob and Sandra, because that's like what they want is for the castaways to really lean on Rob and Sandra as those mentors, further solidifying their egos. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But then when they did the callbacks to previous seasons around the different types of persuasion, I thought it was interesting and also annoying that all the examples Rob was giving were examples of other people's games. So Suri and the Black Widow Brigade and Parvati and Yule, and then at least Sandra's thing about starting rumors was her own work. And then Rob's one example about Lex was, like he said, not a great example because, one, he didn't uphold his end of the bargain and he voted Lex out, and then he didn't get Lex's vote. So just continuing to pump up Rob's ego when, in my opinion, I don't think he's like the greatest survivor of all time. Probably not even in the top like 4 or 5. This was a big episode for my USB Missy. I was impressed she was able to whip the votes, so to speak, to go after Chelsea when Elaine and Elizabeth really didn't seem into it. And I appreciated her noting that the tribe dynamics, in some ways they're family, but in some ways they're strangers, which is cautioning everyone else on the tribe to not get too attached to any one person or one group, because the next day they could be, and we know now will be, separated. Despite all that solid maneuvering, I couldn't help but feel sad for Chelsea, and with an idol in her pocket too, it's just like such a bummer. As a huge fan of the show, if I were on it and didn't make the merge, I think that is like totally valid to be really disappointed, because you know you're probably never going to get a chance to play again. You're just another generic player in the history of Survivor and not a standout, which obviously is what any fan would want to be if they were going on the show. The only thing with not getting rid of Karishma is that she will flip on them in a swap, which Elaine said, and we saw in the commercial that is going to happen. So I don't know if they're worried about that. I got to wrap it up. I would just say if Karishma and Nora were on the same tribe, that's just going to be hilarious dynamics. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm picking Nora to go this week. Again, I had her last week too, just because I feel like between the two of them, as the two bottom players in each tribe, I feel like Nora will be more annoying to whoever she's around. And whether it's Vokai or Lyra, they will want her out. Thanks. And I'm excited to hear what everyone else has to say. Have a good week.
That's funny. I really thought Christiana was going to say that, and if I were voted out before the merge, I would never get another date again. I thought she was going to the cat. Yeah. I don't know why I thought that's where she was going. I thought she was going to poke fun at that.
All right, good job, Christiana. Next up, we got a call from Mary.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. It's Mary from Michigan. What a great episode. I was super excited. I was yelling and shouting and laughing at my TV. I had to pause it because that moment when the tribe turned and told Nora that they were sitting her out was the best Survivor moment ever. I was thrilled. It was awesome. The challenge, I thought that Jason was the standout. He was calm, cool, collected, and led it like a boss. Stayed so calm. He did such a good job with having them all go out together and then directing them. He was amazing on that puzzle with Kelly. Kelly did a great job, too, just staying super calm and only concentrating on what he was telling her to do. It was really fantastic. I didn't think Elizabeth was that bad. They were just not as good. Out on the course, her team was a mess. So I don't think it was her fault, necessarily. But I did think Erin looked good on the puzzle, and they almost got it. Big question I'm left with after that episode is why Elaine and Elizabeth were so against voting out Dean. I didn't get it. That's not something the show has shown us, and they sure didn't tell us. That was weird. It would have been one thing if they would have also been against Chelsea. I know I've heard a lot that, they just ran out of time. I don't know. I don't buy that. If you're not going to do it, then wouldn't you have said, we'll keep Chelsea over Dean if you're a woman? That was strange. Aaron has not been on the outs or in trouble. I think he's been running the show. They just didn't let us see that before. Missy, I don't know if it was a good look for her. I mean, I think she was too pushy. The things she said at Tribal, I don't know what's going to happen with her unless she just swaps with, Aaron. As far as JSFL, I was certain that Dean or Chelsea was going to go. I just had a feeling. And then at the last minute, I overanalyzed it and switched it to Karishma, so I missed another vote-out point. Got my save points, so at least there's that. But going into next week, I have no idea what to do with JSFL. I mean, I don't know who's going to go. It just depends so much on the swap. I do think, like Stacy said, that they're probably going to swap to 3 tribes of 5, and Karishma's the odd one out. She goes to the Island of the Idols and comes back to replace whoever goes home on whatever tribe loses. But I think it would be super cool if she got to sit in the booth at Tribal Council with Rob and Sandra. I don't think she will, but that would be cool, just because the booth's too small, for one thing. I also think that their lessons, this one was way better than last time. Obviously, that was just silly. But I think they're kind of tailoring them to who comes. And if Karishma gets to come, they're going to let her know what she's been doing wrong, I think, because they've been seeing the tribals and they can tell where she's at. So that should be interesting. So who would go? No idea. The swap, everything depends on that. I think it'll be somebody in the minority, and I think that Nora could flip if her team has a majority on one of the tribes and end up voting out one of them, or Karishma would flip if her team was in a majority on one of the tribes and vote out one of them. So there's a lot up in the air. I have no idea what to do with JSFL. Everybody tell me. Can't wait to listen for the feedback, and I can't wait for next week. You guys have a great week. I can't wait for the feedback, like I said. Thank you, Joanne and Stacy, for always. This is the best part of the week. All right, have a great one.
Excellent. Thanks, Mary. Yeah, you got a lot to mull over with all this great feedback we've had so far.
Yeah, it still bothers me a little bit how they showed Missy kind of dressing Elaine down.
Karishma.
What did I say, Elaine? Yeah, Karishma.
That was the biggest misstep, it seemed, on her part.
Yeah, hey, don't you start to feel better. Squash that right now. Uh-huh. You are not out of the woods.
Because you're awful at this game.
Yeah.
It seemed completely unnecessary.
And if you say you can do it, do it.
Yeah.
It's okay. And even to say, if you're an Olympian, be an Olympian. It's that seemed directed at Elizabeth.
Yeah. Then she went on.
Do what you say.
She went on to conclude, though, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, but why would you stick yourself out there? I thought that was just too over the top risky.
Yeah, there was a couple times that it seemed like she really misspoke, that it didn't do her any benefit to say we're all sleeping like dogs in the dirt. And then you're left thinking,
people we don't know.
Missy thinks I'm a dog. So she didn't seem to be doing herself a lot of favors. She took the big move risk, and now she's got people scratching their head and wondering about her. And
maybe
that
fleas
can come back and bite her for sure. But she did seem to be the shot caller of this one, which certainly can be good as long as it doesn't leave everyone in fear of you. And she seemed to be instilling more fear than she really needed. Whereas ideally you want some cohesion. You want to be building trust before a merge
Well, she
and before
says
a
she
swap.
wants to use Karishma and her vote. But if you're talking to her that way in front of everyone at Tribal Council, even Jeff, which probably makes it sting even more,
Yeah.
I don't think that helps your cause at all.
Unless she had planned it, unless she had said, hey, I'm going to say these things so that they don't see our alliance. I just want you to know. Maybe that could soften the blow.
I still wouldn't like it.
Karishma. Yeah, it doesn't. It's not a good look for sure, like many people have said, and like Mary was commenting on. Thanks, Mary. Next up, we've got an email from Bill in California. Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Thanks for doing your show. I really enjoy it every week. I like this season. I really like Nora, and I hope for a transformation from her. She seems like a recruit and didn't recognize the blindfold challenge. Yeah, absolutely. Or else she would have described it differently. She described it very much like she'd never seen a blindfold challenge. Yes.
Probably not in the episode she watched before going out there.
Right. I wanted to chime in about Missy's decision, which is getting a lot of criticism, it seems. As a minority, I think there might be another layer to why she wanted to keep Karishma. Ooh, okay. Vince was saying in his exit interviews that he wanted to go to the final three with women of color, which would presumably be Missy and Karishma. I suspect neither of them were excited about voting him out, even though Missy had suspicions. Then we learned Missy values her shared experiences with Aaron as both are African American. I think there might have been some conversations we weren't shown that went along the lines that Missy didn't want to vote out two minorities back to back. She seems like she'd be aware of historically minorities have had trouble getting far in this game, and she doesn't want to help that happen here. It seemed like she and Aaron refused to vote out Karishma, and their whole strategy this week was about getting the target on someone else. They went with that young guy, I can't remember his name, Dean, but Elaine and Elizabeth said no. They probably knew Tom wasn't an option, so they went with the next person, which would be Chelsea. It really makes sense to me as a minority to keep more minorities in the game, and I just haven't seen this theory discussed. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it. That's a good theory.
Yeah. Also, it seems like a valid strategy to me for a minority player to be mindful of this. I really enjoy your show. Thanks for doing what you do. Well, thanks for sending that in, Bill. I think he gave us all something to... You give us a whole nother...
Ponder.
Yeah, lens to look at that through. Good deal. I'll have to keep that in mind. Next up, we got a call from Noelle-n-Immie.
Hi, Survivor fans. This is Noelle.
And
She has the hiccups. And Immie from Albuquerque, calling with our feedback. Sorry we missed you last week. We went camping. I'll jump right in with my feedback, and then it can be your turn, honey.
okay.
I did not like this episode, and I'm annoyed by so many of the survivors. I'm annoyed with Karishma because she keeps on whining and making herself a big old victim. Meanwhile, she's on a tribe with a woman who almost died of a brain tumor, Karishma. Whoa. So I'm really sick of her whining, and I'm really annoyed that we have to spend another week listening to it. I'm annoyed with Missy and Aaron because I feel like they orchestrated two sloppy vote outs. Why would you vote out Chelsea, your alliance member? What happened to the girls' alliance? I didn't understand why they voted out Vince. He was another alliance member. I don't understand why Missy is putting herself at risk to protect Aaron of all people. I don't like Aaron's game. He shoots his mouth off. I'm glad the tribes are switching because I expect him to say something clumsy and stupid and make himself a target, and I hope that'll work. I don't want to see any more of Karishma, but I hope that what she says in the preview is true, that she is going to turn on Laro, because I would like to see some of them go and no longer have the opportunity to keep sending people out when I don't understand why they're sending them out. It's hard for me to have fun with Survivor when I don't understand the thought process behind the votes. I guess that's all I've got now. Oh, and I'm annoyed with Chelsea for not playing her idol, and I'm annoyed with Vince for not playing his. So I'm just annoyed at all of them right now. What do you think, honey?
I wanted to say something about Karishma. She does work around camp. That's how she got her hand basically chopped off. She was trying to cut firewood, and so that annoyed me.
You're right. That was a smart observation.
Thank you. And I also wanted to say something about Lauren.
somebody who thinks they're the leader is, well, she's not being very leader-y.
Yeah, she's kind of taken a back seat recently since her big move, huh?
Yeah.
I wonder if she's trying to take some heat off from doing that big move. Who do you think will go to the island of the idols next?
Missy.
Think Missy?
Yeah.
I think if Missy goes to the island, she'll turn it into an advantage. And I'm annoyed with her, as I said earlier. Immie, why don't you tell everybody how old you are and what grade you're in?
I'm 10 and I'm in 5th grade.
Nice. Did you want to say one more thing?
Yes. Wait, no, sorry.
Okay. Well, thanks for doing the podcast, guys. Talk to you next week.
Peace.
All right, I heard that hiccup at the end, Immie. So, Immie, I went back to check in that third episode. It's about 8 minutes in, and Karishma was actually cutting a coconut, and she was doing it in a very dangerous way. Never follow her example. She could have cut her leg and really been in trouble. She only snagged her finger there, and it turned out, just like she said, to not be as significant as she had initially described it. So I liked your initiative. I liked how you were paying attention and you thought something else was going on and you were trying to help defend her. But in reality, I don't think she was doing anything significant there. And you're doing a fantastic job. So both of you are. Thanks for sharing your views this week. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi everyone, this is Jen in California. Well, I really enjoyed this episode. There was a lot of activity and scheming going on in both camps, and it was really just fascinating to see. So over on Vokai, Jamal found an idol. They need to pick unanimously who goes to Island of the Idols, and oh my gosh, Nora went to Island of the Idols. It was interesting to see that the more savvy players didn't want to go to IOI. They didn't want to be separated from the group for that long. I can't believe Nora volunteered to go. I mean, maybe I can believe it, but idealistically, I can't believe that she did that. And that was really such a bad bet to take from Boston Rob. I mean, I suppose I could understand it if an immunity idol was on the line, but an ability to block a vote? I don't know. I don't know that I would want that. That's such an aggressive move. It would do nothing but cause ill will between you and somebody on the tribe, and I just would want to try to avoid that at all costs. And then in order to get this pretty undesirable advantage, I think she had to do a pretty undesirable task. She had to persuade them all to get her to be caller. I mean, I think if there was ever a time to look before you leap, this is definitely the one where she should have thought twice. And so she goes back and she tries to convince them to let her be the caller. She tells them they have to be unanimous about the role she plays. And in the end, they unanimously choose to have her sit out. Wow, what a message they sent to her. I mean, that was harsh. But wise. I mean, they ended up winning, and it was a great move on their part. Good decision-making as a group. I love the challenge. It was a nail-biter right down to the end. And is it just me, or is the editing really trying to focus in on Dan's accidental or otherwise close interactions with others? Personal space, Dan. Personal space. So in my last minute, I want to focus in on Lyro and their scheming after the immunity challenge. So there's a lot to unpack, but what I really saw stand out for me was Elizabeth. I mean, she just cannot keep a secret. She was listening to one side, and they would tell her something, and then she'd go to the other side and say, hey, this is what they're thinking. And then they would tell her something, and she'd go right back to the other side saying, hey, you know what? I just was listening and talking, and this is what they're thinking or saying. I just kind of got the impression that she is playing both sides, which is fine, but I don't feel like she's playing both sides very covertly. I thought, oh, she needs to be voted out. She might be voted out tonight. Because they have to be noticing this. I don't know. I just really think she's a big liability for everybody on that tribe. I mean, don't tell Elizabeth anything if you don't want it to go somewhere else. I think the blindsiding of Chelsea was a great big move. And I don't know how sound of a strategy it is to just keep going after the quote-unquote big threats. But I'm loving it. I think it's making the season exciting, and I can't remember a Survivor season where the trend on the tribes is to make the big moves and take out big fish instead of kind of the little ones early on. So I'm loving it. It makes it unpredictable. That's it for me. Till next week. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Jen. Yeah, we've definitely had seasons where big move-itis had set in early on.
True.
Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul, Louisiana here, and oh my, Nora, what a ham-fisted way of forcing your tribe to do what you want. Obviously, there was no thought involved in her story at all, and obviously they all know that she lied to them now. The only thing she could be thankful for is the fact that there's a tribe swap that might possibly help her, but she'll be annoying anywhere. A much better lesson for her would have been the art of being subtle. And Chelsea, sweetheart, if you're such a super fan, you would know that the woman always takes a fall when there's a showmance. Voted out with an idol? I guess Kelly better be careful because those things are the kiss of death, right? And I had a laugh when Handsy Dan got Missy this week because she isn't even on his tribe. And Karishma, wow, she's just such a sad, mopey player. I wish she'd at least look for an idol while she's busy alienating herself from her tribe, but hey, she's hanging in there even though she has no clue why. And then there's my USB, Missy, who appears to be putting a target on herself, so maybe a swap will help her as well, because her current tribe is a mess when it comes to alliances. Is it me, or does she really only want to work with the underdogs and not the numbers that she's involved in? I think Elaine has her figured out, and I wonder if Dean will be mad about losing Chelsea. Well, probably not. He's sorta clueless. And by sorta, I mean completely. And as much as a tribe reshuffle can help people, I just don't see how Lyra survives this. So, was it unfair at all that Vokai knew what to expect at the challenge? In the end, I say no, because they were practicing with Nora calling, and that was certainly no advantage. But wow, what a slap to her face when they told Jeff they were sitting her out. They didn't even ask, they just did it. Or maybe that was just the editing. Me, well, I actually laughed out loud because, like I said before, it proved to the rest of the tribe that she was lying to them. Now, I suspect that Kelly had something to do with the decision to sit her out because she had to realize that Nora had to accomplish something to get an idol, and Nora made it pretty clear what that something was. I'm just amazed at just how bad a player she actually is because these people were pointing out huge holes in her well-crafted story right there on the spot, and then she'd look lost, think for a few seconds, and say something ridiculous to hopefully fix it. The only thing missing was a, yeah, that's the ticket, at the end of it. You know what? I think I might be picking her to go next. Nora's the other end of the Karishma spectrum, because Nora ostracizes herself by trying too hard. And you know, I can't get over her laugh. It makes nails on a chalkboard sound like the sound of music to me. So yeah, I guess I've just talked myself into picking her as next to go, because let's face it, it's a crapshoot without knowing what the new tribes will be. Is it mean for me to want Nora to be on a tribe with most of her old teammates so they can afford to ditch her? Yeah, I guess so, but go Nora. Everyone take care. Catch y'all next week. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, interesting time we're heading into. It's always exciting. The shuffle, the swap. It's almost like the season starts over again. You just press in a reset button. But this time, hopefully, you know a little more about the players. If I asked you, who do you think has the skills to adjust on the fly? Who comes to mind?
Elizabeth.
Yeah? Think Elizabeth does?
Yeah. Elaine might.
Well, we've seen the power of her sociability. So I would say she's going to excel. Even if she's in the minority of a new tribe.
I think Aaron might, in that he's big and strong, and if it's a 5-person tribe,
the physicality,
they'll want his physicality.
Gets sort of a boost again.
Yep, and Missy for the same reason, but it depends on, you know, if she alienates them with attitude or not. I don't think she will. Surely she...
We hadn't seen that before.
Yeah.
And so she had been making pretty good connections prior to this, and she didn't seem overbearing in her other interactions with Elaine and Elizabeth.
Yeah. But that's the Lyro tribe. The Purple tribe definitely has the numbers. They've got 2 more, so...
Again, the question was, who do you think has the skill set to be able to best handle the shuffle? Who would you be least concerned about?
Tommy, Janet.
Yeah, for sure on Janet. She's probably going to fit in really well again.
Kelly even. Kelly seems to do okay socially. Jack, I'm not sure. I'm kind of on the fence about Jack. Lauren. And that's probably kind of it for... I think Dan will annoy. Here's how I think about it when there's a swap. If you have no idea who's on what tribe, whether there's 2 tribes or 3 tribes or any of that information, I usually go for, well, who's most annoying?
Right.
Who are the most annoying people and most likely to get, or the weaker people? If you got 5 people on a tribe, they're going to be looking.
So that's where I was
for
headed with these
strength.
questions.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So who's on your annoying list? Who do you think is just not going to be able to help themselves and be annoying?
Oh, well, for sure, Karishma.
Mm-hmm.
And for sure, Nora.
Okay.
Those are the 2 big ones. For sure, Dan. I think he'll annoy right away, too.
You think we'll see the return of Handsy Dan in a new setting?
I don't think he can help himself.
Uh-huh.
I think the others are less annoyed because they have decided he can't help himself, and he may not mean anything by it. It's just him. But they probably still don't like it. Those are the big ones, I think.
So where's Jason fall in all this? You seem to overlook him.
I think Jason's looking good.
Yeah, that was a good wake-up call, and he made a super adjustment.
I think he's adjusted. I think he's back on track. I think he's he did really good in the challenge.
Jumped into Tommy's arms at the end after winning.
Tommy's arms. But I also
for the celebration. Yeah.
That because he's smaller in stature, he will be seen as less of a threat, but still valuable to the tribe. So I don't count him anymore.
And obviously everyone got to see that. So.
Yes, everyone did. So
well, except Aaron and Kelly, but Kelly knows firsthand that he played a great role. She didn't get to see it, was my point, and Aaron didn't because he was blindfolded. Yes. But yeah, everyone else got to see how well he managed himself there and how important that was to their victory at that point. Yeah, I think there's opportunities to look for clear standouts, and the big thing right now is all the established or cultivated resentment in Lyro that you got to watch out for, the blowback potentially from Karishma, from Dean, from Elaine, who got placed in she made a comment about how unsure she was of Missy and Aaron, if they were willing to do that to Dean, and obviously to Chelsea too. So they become big wild cards.
Well, and Tom could be at risk, and even Janet, if they're not faring as well, being older, if they're not faring as well out there with the lack of food and sleep and etc. So if they're seeing their energy start to wane.
Right, and some people may have to reprove themselves because it is a bit of a reset depending on the actual conglomeration of the swapped tribe they end up on. But we've seen Janet hasn't had any issue, and it was Janet. Everyone saw Janet face off against Elizabeth.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah, there's probably less of a question mark over Janet than there is Tom.
But with like 5 people on a tribe, it's going to be...
Everyone stands out more, obviously, right? So it's amplified.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no place to hide with a 5.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And... a lot of that, too, depends on, are you going for the strength of the new tribe, or are you going for the numbers to get back to your
the loyalty
alliances,
right.
And the loyalty so it depends on individually what the tribe decides to do that way, too.
Given how you've seen these folks are playing this season, do you think we'll see someone throw a challenge so they can take advantage of a numbers opportunity and majority alliance within the tribe to cut the other tribe down that they'll maintain? You don't think we'll see any throwing of challenges?
No.
Okay. I think it's a possibility because we got some big move-itis here.
Yeah, you got too many big egos.
We differ
in
that
don't
regard.
think so.
Okay.
I'll be surprised if that happens. So we'll see if you're right.
Yeah. In any case, it should be exciting. We're looking forward to seeing how that all plays out. And it'll add a whole nother layer, another dimension to the game, which is always interesting before we even get to the merge. So I think these things can prove really valuable. The only downside is that you tend to have to do it again rather quickly, because you can get a tribe whittled down. If they lose twice, all of a sudden there's just 3 people, and now you're running 3s in the challenges with all these people sitting out, and there's a danger there.
And the bigger tribes, those people get to rest more.
Yeah. Yep. So we're excited to see how it plays out, and who's going to do what. Is all this going to come back to bite Missy and Aaron? How's that going to play out?
Well, they don't usually stay in the smaller tribes all that many.
For that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So probably 3
At the most.
episodes, and then they'll go back to 2 tribes again.
Yep. Could be. Okay, we want to thank
Or maybe they'll merge.
Yeah, that's what would happen next, yeah. We'd like to thank everyone who took the time to send in your thoughts and predictions this week. Great job, guys. We just keep rolling with these awesome listener feedback shows, and a lot of new insights and different lenses to look at things through, so we appreciate that. Also, I want to say a big thanks to Erica and Tom for your donations. Oh, we really appreciate that. That helps us with the financial support. We got a lot of operational cost, and that's a big help. Thank you so much.
And if you're playing JSFL, don't forget to get your picks in before the deadline of 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific Time on Wednesdays. And good luck, everyone, with this week's picks.
Yeah, good deal. All right, have a good one.